impose our form of government on anyone else.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today is Monday, September 9th, 2024. And if today is not that date, then you're watching a replay. We're broadcasting live in the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media, and the show is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. I'm your host, Ryan Stacey. I'm a licensed private investigator, and as a director of investigations for the Experiencers Support Association, I use my investigative skills to dive headfirst into the hidden mysteries of UFOs, paranormal activity, and consciousness phenomena. Thank you for tuning in. I'm a little relaxed today. I was a little hyped last week because I had a lot of stuff going on. Actually, I spent a few weeks away from the podcast. I had a break, but now that I'm back in the system and everything else is all hunky-dory there, I'm feeling a little more relaxed today. Hope everyone's doing well. I just want to say hello to everybody that has said anything. Raymond G. Newsome, thanks for the like. Chris, good to see you. Hello. Julian, thanks. Nice intro. Excuse me. Pardon me. And thank you. And hello, Ryan, and everybody from Lisa. Fun fact, that intro, for those who may be unfamiliar, that is a song that my band had wrote many years ago, and I'm not going to tell you who's singing, but you might be able to figure it out. But there's a fun fact of the day. So on to TESA News.
TESA News and Updates.
Okay, so not too much has changed since last week. However, I'm not entirely sure. I did update the classification system article. I did mention that last week that there were supposed to be 8 points for investigation. So I did fix that. So I just want to confirm that it's still working. For those of you that have read this article about the ultraspectrum classification system, it was just missing this. I had it hidden. I forgot to unhide it when I was done doing the edits. So she's there for you to figure that part out as well. I did write another article about the Vatican's guidelines back in May 17th, I believe, 2024. The Vatican had released guidelines on dealing with supernatural and paranormal activity. On one hand, I'm like, I want to read this. On the other hand, I'm like, I'm so glad that I have a declassified sort of type document that allows me to speak to the paranormal, because everything I've been getting for declassified documents appears to be only UFO related. Why won't you let me in? Website's not working. There we go. So you can check out this article too. Also, you can listen to it. Click that button there as well. But this is just basically my thoughts on how we would take that approach and what TESA does to compare it. It was a really fun exercise to kind of figure out all that other stuff as well. And it's nice for me. Like, I need references like this to compare to, because we don't have anything like this. And that's the main reason why I'm trying to create all these things. But I only know so much. And I really like when the experts are putting out these reports, because then I have something credible that I can compare and contrast my own work with, my own theories with, and then kind of blend it. I don't know, to use a martial arts reference, like the Jeet Kune Do, so the JKD, the Bruce Lee of investigation. We'd be taking the best of the best from everything. And that's what TESA is. So if you guys are interested in that, I do believe that is the only update for news. Those of you who are familiar with the show, there is a podcast tomorrow called Beyond The Tinfoil Hat with Danny Whitson. And Chris, good job. You updated the banner today. Good job. So Jennifer Johnson is the guest tomorrow, intuition and ghosts in the ER. Chris, if you're watching, maybe move your text over to the right a little bit. See how that sticks out? Pretty pleasing, thank you. All right, it's good work. In other news, Facebook, not really too much going on. We do have some new developments. So you've heard me talk on previous episodes to Jill specifically, who's commented here. We are in the works. We had a meeting. We are going to bring to the table some sort of amalgamation between what she's got going on and what we want to do within the realm of the human-initiated contact. We just have to figure out how that's going to work, get the paperwork done and all that other stuff, and then we can start creating something. And I'm really happy about this. The meeting that we had was insightful. I don't want to share too much details because we haven't really ironed it out yet. But essentially, what we're going to do is, start getting people, inviting people to have boots on the ground and do a combination of some investigations, some sky watching, some consciousness activity, some development. I've been running around the term psychogenic sensitivity, so something along that lines. But it's still in the works. So there's your news. All right. Julie Evans says, "Love that show too. Awesome. Glad you are tuning into that program too." Right on. Hi, Julie. Okay, so I think that's it for updates. Now we're going to get on to cases. What is my case today, Chris? Number 9, beings observed. Okay, so we're going to go investigations, visual evidence database. And if I can, I'm going to find number 9. I don't always have the time to set this up in advance because I work all day. And I apologize. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Shout out to the radio people too. Hope everything is doing good on your end. Too bad you can't see these visuals though. We did that one already. Hold on. Where are you? Oh, warmer. Or is that it? Is that it? I gotta check again. Sorry, guys. No, it's not. It's 19. It's close to this one. I know it's close to this one. That's why. All right. So, 16. There she is, right here. Okay. So this will be continuing on from last week's episode as well. Same experiencer, 3 episodes in a row. And we're going to go from here. All right. So I'll play this video as always, and I'll do some commentary for the radio. So we got a drawing of a shadow-like figure on the left-hand side. And the caption says, around January 3rd, 1997, in Fergus, Ontario, Canada, an experiencer saw an apparition in the spare bedroom. And the next slide here. This, in quotations, apparition appeared, then disappeared after a few seconds. This is the original drawing here on the left. You guys check that one out. Yeah, real simple video. Have you seen anything like that? Other occupants of the house claim to have seen the same being. All right. Witness statement, February 17, 2019. And now this is word for what they put. It said 3 different individuals. That should be 3, but it is likely word for word of what they put. Individuals experienced what is believed to be the same apparition. Myself, my mom, and my aunt on 3 different occasions in the same house. My mom and my aunt saw the apparition in the same area, basement, or on separate occasions. I saw the apparition in the same room next to my childhood room, spare bedroom. So just looking at the statement alone, I mean, I'm not going to be too picky with spelling mistakes. People make mistakes, but some people could use that as a indication that they were rushed. Now, if they were rushed, what reason were they rushed for? We don't want to get into that, but that's just a little comment for some of you guys that judge certain things like that. And maybe there was a typo on my end when I typed it out. We don't know, but I'll get that fixed. So myself, my mom, and my aunt on 3 different occasions inside the same house. So 3 different occasions require looking at 3 different events and understanding 3 different people to determine whether or not they actually saw the same thing. So just because this experiencer is saying that, it's implying that other people in the house have seen it. It is concerning that it's happened on 3 different times and by 3 different people, because the atmosphere and the locations all change, and all those variables are important, especially when you're doing an investigation. My mom and my aunt saw the apparition in the same area. So this is family, credible, you can trust. They all live in the same house, so they're experiencing something that's going on. Now, now we're looking at an apparition, but, translate this to like some paranormal activity or anything like that in the house. Just because more people are experiencing it doesn't mean correlation, doesn't mean causation in that sense. Now, if the 3 of them were in the same room and they all witnessed the same event, that would be a little stronger, but it's still something. Okay. It's not, so my aunt saw something in the basement on separate occasions. I saw the apparition in the same room next to my childhood room, spare bedroom. Okay, now we're going to look into these drawings here. Oh, sorry, Julie, I didn't see your comment. She says, my friend has a shadow figure in her cottage. She doesn't feel any negativity. So that's good. Not good that she has a shadow figure in her cottage, that she doesn't feel any negativity. That is something that I like to measure as well, because even if it's not a negative experience, I would encourage you, if you can, please encourage your friend to make a report, because then we can compare that to what we got, because it's the visuals that I'm looking for. It's the descriptions, it's the characters, how they look, that could be very beneficial. The factors leading up to it, the environment in which they're in, even if it's positive. If you know for a fact that you've seen something, then make a report, because then I could validate that as well, or maybe help you in that sense, especially with mediumship and things like that. It's hard to prove what's going on in the head with what you see, but there are ways to validate and confirm that what you're seeing is actually there when we share that, compare that information with the database. So I'm showing a single case here, but the whole database is streamlined of images. So how can I explain this a better way? So if I were to type in beings observed in my search bar, now I have all of these. And then what I would want to do, open up one of these, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to click the tag that says beings observed, just to give you an idea of how beneficial it is to take reports that even though you think are not negative. Now I can quickly scan and look for patterns. So here I got 2 eyes that look the same. I got these creatures here. We'll get to that one. We got some more shadows. I mean, we got more shadow figures and interesting beings that look very similar, like these cloaks here. These cloaks, all different types of beings, but different experiencers. So they're, even when we get down to the drawings, these characteristics are important. This particular person did not happen to see the hands or the face. It looks like it's wearing a cloak, though. This individual was able to make this stuff out because that's what they remembered, or they had multiple experiences, or they just focused on those details. But they are both wearing cloaks. And this, even in this particular case, these beings do not look the same if you look at their hands. different types of being, but this cloak is a constant. So I'm looking for patterns on what people see. Here's another cloaked figure. Okay, so just because you have a positive experience doesn't mean that your report isn't helpful. All right. I hope that helps you there. She says, okay, thank you. And she sees a black coat and a hat. Perfect. All right, that's exactly what we're looking for. Please make a report. If you don't know how to make a report, let me know in the comments, and I will show you how before the end of the show. Okay, so she wrote spare room entity apparition. Here she's using two different words to explain it, but essentially the same thing. Hovering in a doorway. So it appears to be hovering, but that's how she sees it as. I can see the outline, a clear outline, but no features. There was a mist all around the figure, was white grayish, can see through it. The figure disappeared after approximately 3 to 5 seconds. It disintegrated into air. So this is how she describes it. All right, now how does this happen? Assuming that everything is the way that it should be. She sees it outside. So why am I seeing a clear shadow in the room? Is it a shadow? Is it a light? Did something flicker? Did something move? Did something fall over? All those things can be considered, but it can't be proven unless you were there. And they also can't be proven to the experiencer. So there's that belief there that we're not going to get around. This mist, so it's actually seeing it change and all this other stuff too is interesting. This white grayish mist accompanying the shadow figure is very interesting. How does that come through? I don't know. And again, assuming it's not staged or something else, maybe somebody was having a smoke in the background. That's a possible explanation, but that information isn't available. So we can't make those assumptions. The only information we have at this point is that a being was observed. It looked like this. The experiencer reported it, wants to know what it is. And I'm unable to discern what it is other than share these characteristics with it. Because it doesn't appear to be normal if you make that assumption. And it's okay to assume as an investigator, just do not present that assumption as fact. I hope that makes sense. I'll say it again. You can assume as an investigator, but do not present that assumption as fact. Okay. Now it's good to get a hunch and brainstorm, but we're nowhere near that. The figure disappeared after approximately 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so it wasn't there very long, but it was there long enough for her to actually see it. So we can rule out the possibility of something whizzing by, catching the eye. They were able to focus on it. Now, again, getting into the psychogenic activity, this is seen and depicted in the three-dimensional world. But do we know for a fact with this particular case that this being was seen in the three-dimensional world or within the mind in another space and time, the ultra spectrum? All right. Oh, Jillian, I see you put a comment. My late spouse passed in 2019. Sorry to hear that. Hat an extended period. Had, I assume that hat means had, an extended period of experiencing the Hat Man. He took a clear pic of it. I'll attach it to an email I need to send your way tonight. I'll have it analyzed ×4. Okay, so hold on. Yeah, had. Okay, thank you. So let me Hat Man. I think I have something with the Hat Man in it. Yeah, this picture here. This guy here. We'll get into that case whenever we I think it's in Alberta or Manitoba. I'm not quite sure. We're still in Ontario cases right now. But there is some sort of Hat Man there, and there's a Hat Man here. So this Hat Man is a common thing. This Hat Man happened to be in a portal, and this one I don't recall yet. I got to review that. I think that one was just walking by the way that it looks. Now, you're going to say you took a clear pic of it. I'll attach it to an email I need to send to you tonight. That email that you're sending us tonight, send that email separately if you can. If you remember the details, even though he's passed, you can make a report through the reporting system on his behalf. Just explain what you know, explain the situation, and then maybe there's something we can do. If you've analyzed it times 4, that's great, but I still need the original copy. If you don't have the original copy, it makes it really hard to prove that it's an authentic picture because you've edited it. It's okay to edit it, just don't save over the original. And then if you get the original, have the metadata, it'll have all that information and all that other stuff that's needed to do an investigation, and then we can look at that. You have a screenshot of the original copy. Great. That's not good, but it's still something. So it's not, we'll still use it because let me see here. When we got into the classification system, yeah, we'll go back to the levels of evidence there. So the declassification system, let's go, or not classification system. So original photo only, that's good. It's not the original photo. You're gonna land somewhere between level 4 and level 3, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. If there's a screenshot of the original copy, I'll take it. This is just a matter of determining where it fits in the grand scheme of empirical evidence that's going to convince the entire world. Okay, I'm okay if it's a level 2. Well, I'm happy with level 3. That's where I'm happy. Fair. Level 1 and level 2 is what I majority get, which is no evidence at all. It's just a story, and that's great. It's a story, but there's no evidence, or it came from somebody else. So you could be a level 2 third party on the evidence, but that doesn't mean that it will not end up on the website at some point. I'm just using that as an example in real time to explain that to other people, because I don't want anybody to be hooked on providing the smoking gun. There cannot be there's no benefit, there's no reward other than me trying to help you solve something you might already know. You're contributing to the work. Nothing that I'm going to do is going to end up on TV. It's not going to end up on the news. It's not going to make $1 million. All this stuff here is just to help me with my research. But I'm using this as an example to explain my work, because at some point I'm hoping that I'll be able to pass this work down to other people, and then we can solve this problem together. Either way, I'm very interested in seeing that, even if it's a screenshot. All right, Lisa, what do you got there? I'm a lifelong experiencer. I've never seen shadow people in human form until I started talking about my experiences and having a book out. Well, yeah, define shadow people. See, I know your experiences, Lisa. I don't want to can't comment on that without giving details about which of these cases are assigned to you on the website. I gotta stick to that rule. But I do believe that some of these shadow people are still beings observed. It's just the details of the face weren't prominent in the memory or the event. So it's possible that because you have had experiences for a longer time, that you have developed a rapport, or you've developed the ability to be able to see these things more clearly, where majority of the people don't even know they have psychogenic sensitivity. I hope that makes sense. Okay, moving on. So I was on my way to the bathroom when this figure caught my eye. I froze immediately. I was standing here. So that's interesting too, because we're passing by, you catch it, and you turn and look. So she's passed by, she saw something in her peripherals and looked, and still was able to see it for 3 to 5 seconds. That's interesting, because if it was something that's going by and you go and you look and you're like, oh, nothing was there, what is that? That's common. But if she's able to see that is fascinating, assuming that she's telling the truth. Answers to your questions in regards to apparition in the doorway. 1, the house was purchased by my mom and stepdad approximately in 1995. That's the estimate. The laundry room was in the basement of the household towards the back of the house. The room where I witnessed the application, spare room, was right next to my room in the back of the house. which would have been some relative location as laundry room, but 2 levels up on a 3-level house. So I'll try and explain what I'm looking at here in this picture. So here's the spare room. There's her sister's room. This is her parents' room, the hallway. Her room's down here, and I'm not sure what the watermark, what room that is. Back room? I think that's the back room. I like to recreate the events to try and figure this out. So laundry room was in the basement. The room where I witnessed the application was the spare room. So this is here. This is where she is. I hope you guys can see my mouse. Was right next to my room. So there's her room. So there's the door in which she saw this apparition. There's obviously some sort of a stair set here, or this is the hallway. These are stairs. Yeah. So this is a hallway. So it's very likely that something could have been passing through this hallway to gain access to all of these buildings. But if she was in her room and she saw an apparition this way, what could it be? So I don't have an answer for that. Could be a shadow, could be somebody else. She could be making this up, but she also might not be. Basement area view. The red X is where the apparition was, witnessed by my mother and my aunt. So there's the X there. Laundry room. There's the stairs. So then with that, we can assume that the laundry room is somewhere. Yeah, because there's 2 sets of stairs. So the laundry room appeared. What we found interesting about this case is the laundry room was directly underneath the spare room. And that X appears to be relatively in the same spot within another story of the house. And I found that interesting for a correlation. Apparition was first seen witnessed by my mom and aunt in basement laundry room. Then witness believed to be same apparition. So believed to be same apparition. So it's unsure. Even the witness says they're unsure. Believed to be the same apparition by myself in spare bedroom, doorway, main level, ground level, kitchen, living room, dining room, basement, laundry room, and spare room above each other in the same area of the house with main level in between. Okay. So I'll get down to the stats in a minute here. So what's odd about this, or what's not really odd, it's fascinating, but it's still tricky in terms of defending it, because multiple witnesses, again, not in the same house, they believe it to be the same apparition. So that doesn't mean it is. Is the house haunted? Does the house have the ability to have apparitions? Possibly. The house needs to be investigated, but unfortunately, we don't have the resources at this time to put boots on the ground at their physical locations every time we get a case. But this would be one of those locations that I would like to check out, especially if there's other experiences. But this particular experience here has had other experiences. Now, we got a mother and an aunt and a daughter and a niece, I guess, if you look at the possibility of the psychogenic ability being passed down, that would make sense why the 3 of them are having this experience. But I'm only speculating at this point. Need better evidence, but this is evidence of something. And there's enough work, enough effort in there, in this belief, that they're pretty sure that it's not something that is normal. And I can't take that away from them, because I don't have enough evidence to dismiss it either. Okay. Report category, ultraspectrum experiencer. So new. So I think this is that person's first report. Wanted us to investigate and report. I'll show you there. Female. Don't know their eye color. Was 5 years old at the time of the event. Number of witnesses. So that's another thing to take in consideration. If she was 5 at the time of the event, happened in 97. Some time has passed since then. She had a negative feeling. Makes sense if you're 5 years old, seeing something like that. Then you want to get into these other theories that talk about how children have the ability to see before they're programmed in the school system. All right. At age 5, they should be in kindergarten if they haven't started school and things like that. So that starts to get in the way. They start to lose their faith once they get put in school. There's studies out there that prove that. So look into that. So having a 10 p.m. Lasted a minute. But it was 3 to 5 seconds, but 1 minute's the lowest we can go on that nighttime ongoing. One person seen, analogical evidence rating is 2, beings observed. This is an apparition, but we had subtype 6, but the archetype is a ghost. Why? Because we don't see any legs. We don't see like actual feet. It appears to be hovering. We don't see any hands. We don't see a face. It appears to be transparent, so it fits the category of a ghost in terms of the archetype, but it's still an apparition. It's still a being observed, so it very well could be anything that's transparent. It could be a hologram, for all we know. It's unidentified because there's not enough evidence to decide one way or the other. We consider this a close experience, uninvited, and that's that. So then if we look at the experiencer ID, if you guys recall previous episodes, let me close this here. So we talked about this one last episode. We talked about this one in a previous episode. So what do these 3 things have in common? Well, the experiencer, of course. All the dates have changed. The times all have changed, but the thing and the locations of these events have changed. So this particular event happened in a sleep state or a dream state. This particular event could have been a dream state if she was sleeping in her room. We don't know the activity that was going on during the time of this event. And then this particular activity was seen outside a home. So I know for the timeline that from my memory that this started when she was 5, and this happened later on, and then she started seeing these things. So then we can really compound these cases the more that we have. Because the experiencer reported this first case, worked with her, and then I encouraged her to make more reports as they came through, and we've done the same. Now when I'm able to compare all of them together and look at the experiencer on a whole, there's a lot more evidence to suggest that this particular individual has a psychogenic sensitivity. So they do possess some sort of ability to see things that may not actually be there, or they're drawn to certain things, or they're involved in certain things. But then we look at this one with the aunt and the mother seeing something as well. We don't know if it's the same thing. So we don't know if it's the house. We don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns here. But what's interesting about these things, just based on the way that they look, we know that this isn't normal. And we need to revisit these things. Okay? All right, where are we at for time? 37. Let me look at comments here. Jillian says, 2019, I woke up with a shadow figure sitting on my legs. It started to be so bad I tried to fist fight it. All right, let's talk about that for a minute. If you can, please make a report about that separate. And we'll look into that as well. As an experiencer yourself, you'll start to understand what information we put out. So we're doing our best not to put any information that identifies the experiencer unless you want to come forward. And although I know Lisa's comfortable with it, I try my best to not break that rule, even though I have that permission to do so. So just so you know. But another thing you guys need to know is that I'm still doing cases from 2021. So don't be in a rush to get a response from me. But this would be a good exercise for you, Jillian, and anybody else who used the reporting system to see how it works, what kind of questions we ask, especially for the this new program that we're doing, where it would be something that I'll want help with encouraging others to report what they see using the same system. So there's a good opportunity for you to let me know if the system's still working the way that it is and that everything's good. And then we'll go from there. Now, sitting on your legs. See, this is tricky because I don't like giving my opinions on cases until I actually investigate all the details that are surrounding to it. I like to keep those comments between me and the experiencer. And I don't want to give you an idea of what this case might be before you make the report, because it might poison the authenticity of the actual genuine report that comes from you. Now, if now you say it was sitting on your legs. Now, there's that sleep paralysis phenomenon that comes in. First thing that comes to mind, they get that sleep demon, right? The nightmare, where it's often depicted as sitting on the chest, from what I'm understanding. But I guess it could sit on the legs as well. But that is an archetype. That is a way to describe something. So the root index is that a being has been observed, and it appears to be a shadow-like figure that sits on your legs. And if you were trying to fist fight it, did you actually make contact? Could you feel it? That's what I want to know. But could you touch it? That's interesting. And make sure you include that in the report if you do. My end is lagging. Sorry, Lisa, I didn't realize I was lagging there. Jillian says, I'll come forward with any of this stuff. I have no concerns. Awesome. Great. Brave. Just like Lisa. Lisa says, I have an experience or not that experience. I had an experience not that long ago. I sat up in bed. It was 4 a.m. So we were sleeping. You woke up. I seen a dark figure in my closet. It was an MIB. His presence didn't feel good. All he was only a couple of feet in front of me. So, all right. So I have to ask. So you were sleeping. You woke up, and did you see it right away when you woke up? Or were you awake for a little bit, got up, did something, and you seen it? Because, you got to take in consideration that if you're at 4 a.m., you were likely sleeping. So you got to take that in consideration. You saw it in the closet. For some reason, closets are like a hotspot for these things. I don't understand that. And you said it's MIB. So how do you know specifically that it's Men in Black, that it's associated with that? How do you know that? Or is that an assumption? Now, his presence didn't feel good. Well, it wouldn't feel good because you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and thought you were sleeping, and some creepy MIB is standing in your closet. That's justified that it didn't feel good. Why is it in your closet? And it was only a couple feet in front of me. So I hope that, obviously, you survived that and that you're still here, but I hope that you were able to get back to sleep after that. Thank you for sharing. Jillian continues to say, no, I didn't feel it. It disappeared. Smart choice for him. LOL. Yeah, well, you're a scrapper, eh? That's good, though. I don't know what I would do. I mean, I haven't really had the luxury of seeing anything to that extent, but I probably would react the same. I'd probably try to, do something in that sense. So good on you for trying. All right, so we're at 43 minutes into the hour. I got a few minutes left. Does anybody else have any questions or any topics you want me to talk about? I'm not sure if I'll have time to get into another case, but I'm going to try and find this one in the meantime. So that one's done. This one we haven't done. Okay, so since we're on the topic of beings observed, I'll save the aerial activity for next week because we're down here. And I forgot to play my little jingle. I'm going to play that now for beings observed.
Beings observed, intent unknown.
I apologize. I forgot how loud that was. I knew it was coming. You guys didn't. I am sorry. Okay, so Jillian says, I've seen so many things and pretty desensitized. Yeah, once you see it, you kind of get used to it. And especially if you're comfortable. And since you're comfortable, I'll share that, like you shared with us, that you have that ability through different types of archetypes, whatever you want to call it, because it's hard to. Not a lot of people like labels these days, but you do often participate in experiences where you will see things that shouldn't be there. So it does make sense that you're desensitized, but you still gotta trust but verify. Just because you're used, not everything you see might actually be on the other side. All right, so I'll just a little caution there. Different experiencer, being observed still. Let me go here. This one here, being observed, humanoid, aerial. And we will play that video real quick here for you guys. So around September 18th, 1968, in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, an experiencer was encouraged to fly during a sleep state. Okay. So for you, so she's flying here in these images here. This image on the left is what the witness had drawn based on what she had seen through this astral projection. The experiencer had endured this sensation multiple times over a period of 9 months, each time being guided by an entity dressed in white with curly blonde hair. That's the witness drawing on the left there. And then the call to action is have you seen anything that looks like this? All right. Oh yeah, Jillian says you can call it mediumship. I know I could call. I appreciate that. I'll use that term for you, but I don't. There's got to be a better term for that would encompass all of it, and I'm still working on that because I have a hard time with this phenomenon, but I still believe it, that it's possible. It's just there's a lot of scams out there. All right. So I'm not dismissing your abilities. I just haven't seen your abilities. But I just need you to know that this comes from a place of I'm used to seeing people abuse these titles and take advantage of people. So I've yet to meet someone that I can trust that has these abilities. So that's, big shoes for you to fill there. But we'll leave it on that. Lars de la Red, thank you for tuning in. Hello. Okay, moving. And Nancy Thames, Fleetwood Paranormal, thank you for your likes as well. Thanks for tuning in. So a woman in white was asking me to fly up to her in the hydro lines. But at first I was afraid, knowing that it was electrical, but she convinced me to fly up to her. So I did, night after night for months. So without knowing the background, if someone you don't know asks you to fly up to hydro lines and you know that it's unsafe, you probably should not do that. But maybe the experiencer was aware that they were in a sleep state, was aware that they were doing something along these lines, and there's a little bit of trust in there. If they get electrocuted, they're not really going to die. But you got to understand where these things are coming from. We don't know for sure where this information is coming from, so you need to be careful. So she was somehow able to convince her, so she flew up, and she did for months. So how did that happen? How is that physically possible? Well, we know she was in a dream state. So this is obviously happening in her mind. Okay. Jillian, I'll touch on your comment before the end of the episode. The woman in white, or older, not young, older, golden brown, golden blonde hair, oversized white, flowing, stocky build, seemed large, could never see the lower legs, and felt so I can't make that out, to gauge the height, taller than I, but also to be on the, I can't read the handwriting. I'm just going to skip through that. But anyway, so here's a picture. That's the original drawing. And then here are the facts. Ultraspectrum experiencer, case 32 in 2020. She's already in the survey. Wanted us to investigate and report. This is their ID number. I'll check to see if there's any other in here for her. Female unknown, 7 years old at the time of the event. So that also lends some credibility as to why they might trust this being in white who appears to be angelic, asking her to fly and do all these other things because she's 7 years old and doesn't know better. I have a 7-year-old, and I bet you she'd probably try and do that if somebody in her dreams asked her to do that. But is it a dream? You know, it's common to have these activities happen at a young age, and we do desensitize as we get older. Wasn't injured, which is good. Happened in 1968, was reported many years later. Lots of information could have been lost or changed over time. Happened at night, which seems to be common. Ongoing, as she indicated, one being was seen at this point analogical because it's a drawing. Beings observed, we classified it as humanoid, and that's because it does appear to be human. And the archetype that we decided on was angel. So it best resembles the characteristics of an angel. But is it an angel? It's a being that was observed while she was in a dream state. So even though it's not a three-dimensional state, if you see these beings in a dream state, and somebody across the other the pond happens to see the same being in a three-dimensional state, or maybe doesn't know they have a psychogenic sensitivity, then we got some. We can compare and contrast the images, and we can understand, or maybe suggest that maybe that person did see it in the fourth dimension, but was unaware of it, or fourth or fifth dimension, perhaps it's a transmedium being. So lots of other things we can suggest when we have more evidence like that. Okay, and then I don't think this experiencer has any other cases. Oh yeah, sorry. All right, we'll get into that one. We got 9 minutes. Yeah, probably do that one too. So we did do these cases, the black-eyed children. I didn't realize, I forgot that those were associated to her. So she's waking up in bed. She's seeing these black-eyed children. Now, the black-eyed children phenomenon is a whole different phenomenon. We covered these ones on a previous episode. Now, as she is a little bit old, well, how old was she when she saw these ones? So she was 7 here. And then, okay, 57. So she's a little bit older. There. It's quite a bit older. So she's obviously still has this activity as it's developed. I'll probably have more cases from this experience or two. Just haven't added them to the system. Okay, where are we at? 8 minutes. Is that one near where we are? I don't want to screw my... Oh, it is right there. Okay, we're going to do this one too. Aerial activity. Let's go.
Aerial activity, sensory display.
Okay, so same experiencer. And we'll watch the video quickly here. Around July 10th, 1968, in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, an experiencer reported seeing this object, quote, hovering over 3 buildings, end quote. This is the original drawing. The experiencer was in the company of few friends when this event happened. However, These friends did not see anything. So have you seen anything? Have you seen this before? So going back to what we were talking about there, 57. These very well could be psychogenic activities. This one is for sure because it's admitted. Dream state, could be sleeping. And then now we have this large object that's seen by her, but not her friends. So that doesn't mean that the object doesn't exist. It's just perhaps those other friends don't have psychogenic sensitivity. They don't have the ability to see this stuff, or it wasn't there. But just because she's had multiple experiences, we don't actually know if these experiences have enough evidence to rule out all these experiences either. But that just compounds what we got going on, because we measure the experiencer, not the events. Okay. So 5 of us, there's 5, we're walking up the street, and when I notice a large, low object in the sky right above my house and my neighbors to each side, it was dark out. I could see a row of lit up windows of different colors. I asked, quote, did anyone else see that, end quote. They said, see, quote, see what, end quote. So tricky, if they really saw something that was really this big and this is huge, and the other people didn't see it, that is something of concern. Let me see here. I was young, but recall blue, red, yellow, or white. Do not remember the order, but they changed, or it was turning as the lights as they seemed to rotate. No sound, very black body. Also, from the time forward, I would have many recurring dreams of entering an elevator. It would go up so fast that I was stuck to the wall. At end, I would enter a room like an office with desks and computers. Nothing happened to me once I realized it was in a round room. I was in a round room. This happening more than 10 times. Also, when I saw the boy days before, I was escorted by 2 smaller people on either side of me. I could not see. It felt like Vaseline on my eyes. As soon as I said, I can't see, I blacked out. Separate experience. It has to be investigated on its own. But things like that share commonality with these events here. So there's something up with this experiencer. So we classified this one as a close experience, uninvited, and the sensory display aerial activity into UFO. All right, so that's where we're at on that. Next week, I'll share a little bit more. Hope that was helpful. Some of it can be bland and dry and boring, but I got to look at these cases. I gotta look at these things. I got to remember these thoughts. And as I start getting into new cases, it'll be more exciting because it'll be in real time as well as I go through these things. Jillian, your last comment there, we said no analysis you give me will hurt my feelings. I like straightforward. Straightforward is good. I appreciate that. I'm slightly biased at the moment because every chance I gave to anybody that made these claims will not work with me to a point that they will allow a controlled environment to disprove or prove it right. I want it to be real. I trust that it's real. There is something going on. Psychogenic activity exists. What you're seeing, when you're seeing it, how you're seeing it, if you're seeing it, all those things are what needs to be solved, but it's different for every people. Different for everyone. But you get into the tarot reading and the psychic reading and the astrology readings and then the mediumship and then the clairvoyance and whether it's forward or backwards, retrocognition, precognition, all those different things can't be verified because it's in the mind and it's somewhere else in this world, somewhere a different time, either forwards or backwards or present. And it's really hard to provide proof in the physical, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But there are ways to get that proof in the physical under the right conditions. My focus is not on studying you and doing that right now. My focus is helping you with your program and this joint effort that we're going to do for the human initiated contact movement. But now you got me thinking that in the future, that idea that I'm looking for someone, that maybe I can experiment with some things on that too. Because like, I don't want to disprove it, but you need somebody to challenge it. You need to trust somebody, because if we can prove it, what do we do with it at that point, right? Do we want to let the world know? And then all of a sudden there's helicopters going around, people knocking on your door. How many people will get your attention after that? We've got to be sensitive with that. But if we can prove it to a point, to have a certain set of variables in which we can trust, and there's a standard to discern when people are intentionally doing it for profit. That's where my axe needs to be grinded on that part. Because if you have the ability and you're taking advantage of people, I have issue with that. If you have the ability and you're not accurate with it, but you're saying whatever you want to say to get them to buy more or to come back to you or purchase something you're selling, I have issues with that. I don't have issues with people charging money for mediumship, for their services. I don't have issues with that. It depends on what you're guaranteeing. I'll give you a reading. I'll tell you my thoughts. What you take from it, yada, yada, it's up to you. But if you don't give anything, if you say on specifically at this point, this is going to happen, yada, yada, yada. Oh, you're out of time, but maybe we'll continue this next session for another 3 payments of $59.99 or whatever the heck that may be. Then obviously it's profit driven. In real time, my wife is waiting on a natal chart reading from somebody. We've given her some of our money to get this reading. She's been following them. She's been doing, she has an issue trusting these things, and she wanted to give this a go because she really feels inspired by the videos and all these other things to actually want to give her money. The deadline that she gave first has passed. The second deadline, after we gave her more time, has also passed. So there's a lot of, that doesn't mean that she's scamming. It's concerning because life gets in the way. She's human too, and all these human elements that get in the way. But things like that are common in this mediumship spectacle, if you will. So what I would like to do is set up some sort of a control environment where we can determine what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable to protect experiencers from being taken advantage of by TV mediumships and things like that. Like Matt Fraser, that boy, followed him for a very long time, even saw him live because I wasn't quite sure how he was doing it. But then when I saw him live, I was able to prove that he is not a medium, he is a mentalist, and damn is he good at it. But that doesn't mean he's not psychic, but he's a better mentalist than he is a psychic, and he knows what he's doing, and he's very good in psychology. So you want to think about that. But anyways, I'm over my time. I forgot about that. Great show. Thanks, Chris. I hope you didn't fall asleep because you said it was boring today. My show, FYI. Thanks, dude. And Jillian says, I will be willing to do those closed environments experiences. Love this stuff. Awesome. That's further down the line. We'll get there. And Jillian says, yes, but you should try everything. You can't disprove it. That is the most essential component. Yeah. If I can't disprove it, it exists and it doesn't exist at the same time. It's like Schrödinger's cat, But I want to, the more, eventually these unknowns will become knowns because not everybody's going to report the same thing. We'll get together, compile all this data, put it together, see what it all looks like, and then we can weed out some of these cases, take some of them off the website, and we can fine tune it. But the only way that data is going to get better is if I get more reports. So the more you report, the more I'll be able to learn, the more I'll understand, and the more I'll be able to fine tune exactly what's going on. Because it's not just UFOs, it's not just ghosts, it's not all these things. Those things are sub-level, 3-dimensional bullcrap, right? The world is not the shape that you think it is. The things are in different places than we're told. there's history is not what it seems. There's more bigger problems out there than UFOs and aliens and ghosts. All right. And those experiencers know that. And, but unfortunately, nobody in the news wants to talk about it. So you get what you get. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, we are on all the radio stuff. I don't have my page and I'm out of time, so I can't say it. 105. No, what is it? 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. The UFO Paranormal Network, the United Public Radio Network, and of course, the Experiencer Support Association. So thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky, heed the world, and remember, one lie is enough to question all truths. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week.
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused it?
If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.